I'm 33. I used to think I was the reasonable one in my marriage. The planner. The fixer. The woman who kept the ship from tipping over. And then my husband started coming home late. Not traffic was bad late. Not, I grabbed a beer with coworkers late. Late like, he'd walk in at 12:47 a.m. with his keys already in his hand like he'd rehearsed the exact angle to look innocent. At first, I tried to be normal about it. Everything okay at work? I'd ask, leaning against the kitchen counter like I wasn't keeping score. Yeah, he'd say too fast. Just busy. Then he'd kiss my forehead like a stamp of approval and head straight to the shower. And the part that made my stomach crawl? He smelled different. Not like sweat. Not like bar food. Like perfume. Soft. Expensive. Floral. The first time I noticed it, I told myself it was nothing. Elevator. Coworker. A stranger brushing past him. The second time, I asked, "Are you wearing cologne?" He blinked like I'd spoken another language. No. The third time, I didn't ask. I just watched. He started keeping his phone face down. He started taking it into the bathroom. And one night, one stupid, quiet night, I reached for it while he slept. Password. He'd never used a password. My hand actually shook. Like my body was trying to stop me. Like my conscience was waving a little white flag. I didn't stop. The next morning, I made a joke. I tried to sound breezy. "Since when do you have a password?" He didn't laugh. He didn't even look at me. "Since always," he said, and took his coffee to the other room. That was the moment paranoia moved in like a tenant with a long-term lease. Because once you start imagining another woman in your husband's life, you start seeing her everywhere. In the perfume, in the late nights, in the way his smile didn't quite reach his eyes anymore. And I did what I always do when I'm scared. I tried to control it. I started accidentally staying up. I started checking the clock every 10 minutes. I started asking questions that sounded like concern but were actually interrogation. "Where were you? Who was there? Why didn't you answer? Are you mad at me?" He'd answer, but it never felt like an answer. It felt like he was reading from a script I hadn't been given. And I told myself, over and over, like a prayer, if he's cheating, I deserve to know. If he's cheating, I'm not crazy. But deep down, another thought started whispering. What if he's not cheating, and I'm still doing this? The worst part of paranoia isn't the fear. It's the creativity. Your brain becomes a little movie studio. Every missing detail gets filled with the most painful storyline possible. One Monday, he came home at 11:18 p.m. with that perfume smell again, faint but undeniable. He tried to slip past me like a teenager. I blocked the hallway with my body. "Hey," I said sweetly. Too sweetly. "Can I hug you?" He hesitated. A fraction of a second. But I saw it. He hugged me anyway. His arms were stiff, polite, like he was hugging a coworker at a retirement party. I pressed my cheek to his shirt and inhaled. There it was. My heart did this awful, humiliating thing. Like it was thrilled to finally have proof. I pulled away and stared at him. "Do you know you smell like perfume?" He looked tired. Not guilty tired. Not caught tired. Just tired. "Maybe it's from work," he said. "Do you hug women at work?" I snapped. And then I hated myself, because the words landed like a slap, and he flinched like he'd expected it. He didn't yell back. He didn't defend himself passionately like men do in movies. He just exhaled. "No," he said quietly. "I don't." I wanted him to fight. I wanted him to explode, because anger would mean something. Instead, he walked past me and said, "I'm going to shower." And I followed him, mentally, not physically, right into every worst-case scenario. Shower to wash her off. Shower to wash guilt off. Shower to reset the clock and pretend nothing happened. That night, I did something I'm not proud of. I checked his jacket pockets. Nothing. Then his car. No lipstick. No receipts. No mysterious earrings in the cup holder like a cliche. Just normal stuff. A charging cable. A grocery list. A parking stub from downtown. And that somehow made me angrier. Because I didn't want a mystery. I wanted a villain. The next day, I texted him too much. "Everything okay? Are you mad? Can you call me? Did I do something?" No response for 2 hours. My chest tightened so hard it felt like a hand squeezing my ribs. I opened our shared calendar. Checked his location settings. Looked at our bank account. I became a detective in my own marriage. When he finally replied, in a meeting, I felt relief so sharp it made me dizzy. Relief, and then humiliation. Because what kind of woman needs her husband to prove, hourly, that he's not betraying her? And that's when I started noticing other tiny changes. He stopped leaving his phone on the counter. He started locking the bathroom door. He started going quiet when I entered a room. Like he was bracing. Like my presence had become something you endure. And I kept telling myself, I'm doing this because I love him. I'm doing this because I'm protecting us. But the truth was uglier. I was doing it because I couldn't stand not knowing. And when you can't stand not knowing, you start doing things you used to swear you'd never do. That's how the hidden camera idea got into my head. Not all at once. At first, it was just a thought that made me flinch. Then it became a plan that made me feel calm. Because if I could just see the truth, I could stop spiraling, right? I told myself it wasn't spying. I told myself it was clarity. I bought a small indoor camera. Nothing dramatic, nothing with blinking lights. Something meant for watching pets or checking packages. I picked it up like I was buying cough drops. Like this was normal. When I got home, I sat in my car with the box in my lap and stared at it until my hands went numb. Because some small part of me knew. Once you do this, you don't get to be innocent anymore. But then I thought of the perfume, the password, the late returns. And my fear drowned out my morals like a wave. I installed it in the living room, angled toward the front door and couch, hidden behind a plant, tucked into shadows. My heart was pounding so loudly I thought the neighbors could hear it. That night, my husband came home at 10:52 p.m. He walked in, dropped his keys, and looked straight at the plant. For one horrifying second, I was sure he knew. But he just stared, like he was seeing a ghost. Then he blinked and looked away. "Hey," I said, trying to sound casual, my voice cracking on the word. "Hey," he said back. He didn't kiss me. He walked to the kitchen, poured water, drank it like it was medicine, and then went to our bedroom. No shower this time. I stayed in the living room, pretending to scroll, my stomach twisting itself into knots. When he finally fell asleep, I grabbed my phone and opened the camera app. The feed popped up. Our living room looked unfamiliar through that little lens. Like I'd turned my own life into a reality show. I watched the recording from when he came in, and I waited. For the secret phone call, for the text exchange, for the guilty smile. But all I saw was him staring at the plant, at the camera's hiding place, like someone had punched him in the chest. Then he turned away and moved like he was carrying something heavy. I stared at the screen for a long time, feeling disappointed. And then I felt sick for feeling disappointed. Over the next week, my paranoia became a routine. Every day, he leaves. I monitor. He returns. I watch the footage. It was like brushing my teeth, like checking the weather. And the pattern kept repeating in a way that messed with my head. Late return. Perfume. Password. Silence. Late return. Perfume. Password. Silence. Late return. Perfume. Password. Silence. But the footage didn't match the story I'd written. No woman. No sneaking. No calls. Just my husband coming home, looking exhausted, and moving through our home like it wasn't safe to take up space. One night, he came in at 12:09 a.m. and instead of going to the bedroom, he sat on the couch. He didn't even turn on a light. He just sat there in the dark. And then his shoulders started shaking. I leaned closer to my phone, my breath stuck in my throat. He was crying, not sniffing, not wiping away one discreet tear like a man trying to save dignity. Crying like something inside him had finally broken. And I felt a horrible jolt of triumph and terror at the same time. Because if he wasn't cheating, then what was this? The next morning, I tried to act normal. I made eggs. I asked about his day. I laughed at a joke I didn't find funny. He looked at me like he was trying to decide if I was safe. "Did you sleep okay?" he asked. "Yes," I lied. He nodded slowly, like he'd expected the lie. That day, I checked the footage again. I watched him cry on loop, like I could decode it with repetition. But the more I watched, the worse I felt. Because it wasn't guilt crying. It wasn't I got caught crying. It was defeated crying. And then my brain did what it always does. It found a new angle. Maybe he's crying because he feels guilty for cheating. Maybe he's crying because he loves her. Maybe she broke up with him. My paranoia didn't vanish. It evolved. That night, I ran an errand and left the house at 7 p.m. I didn't have an errand. I drove around the block and parked where I could see our living room window. My heart pounded like I was committing a crime. Which, honestly, I was. Through the camera feed, I watched him come home at 9:40. He took off his shoes, put them neatly by the door, like he didn't want to make noise. Then he walked straight to the living room and sat on the couch again. He stared at nothing. He rubbed his face with both hands like he was trying to erase himself. Then he pulled out his phone, typed something, and stopped. He didn't call anyone. He didn't text anyone. He just stared at the screen until it went dark. And then he cried again. Right there, alone, in our quiet house. My throat tightened so hard it hurt. I sat in my car watching my husband crumble, and all I could think was, I'm outside like a stalker. I'm hiding like a stranger. And he's the one inside crying. When I finally went home, he'd washed his face. The couch pillows were arranged perfectly. The living room looked untouched. He greeted me with a careful smile. "Hey," he said. "Hey," I said back. We stood there for a second, both of us pretending we weren't acting in a play. I almost confessed right then. I almost said, "I saw you crying. What's wrong?" But I couldn't. Because to ask that, I'd have to admit how I knew. And my shame sealed my mouth shut. So I did the next worst thing. I tried to corner him without admitting anything. "Are you unhappy?" I asked, too casually, like I was asking if he wanted takeout. He froze. Then, slowly, "Why are you asking that?" I shrugged. Fake shrug. "Just checking in." He stared at me for a long time, like he wanted to say something that could change everything. Instead, he said, "I'm tired," and went to bed. I sat alone in the living room, staring at the plant that hid the camera, feeling my own reflection staring back. Because the first twist was undeniable now. There was no cheating, no secret lover, no double life. So why did I still feel like I was losing him? My paranoia didn't stop. It just changed targets. If it wasn't another woman, then it had to be something else. Drugs? Debt? Depression? A secret illness? I started Googling at 2 a.m., like I was studying for an exam I didn't want to pass. Why does my husband cry alone? Signs your spouse is hiding depression. Can stress change someone's smell? The perfume thing haunted me. I couldn't let it go. Then I noticed something that made my skin go cold. The crying never happened when I was home. Not once. On the nights I stayed up late, reading, he came in, said hello, went to bed. But on the nights I was gone, real errands, fake errands, even a quick walk, he broke. It was like he had a schedule for falling apart. And that made my brain twist itself into another ugly conclusion. He's not crying because he's guilty. He's crying because he can finally breathe. That thought landed like a slap. Because what does it say about me if my husband only cries when I'm not there? I started testing it. Not proudly, not consciously at first, but it became a pattern. I leave. He cries. I return. He's composed. I did it again and again, like I was trying to prove a scientific theory. One evening, I told him I was meeting a friend for coffee. I wasn't. I sat in my car, opened the camera feed, and watched. He walked into the living room and stood there for a moment like he was listening for footsteps. Then he checked the front door lock twice. Then he went to the kitchen and opened the cabinet where we kept cleaning supplies. He pulled out an air freshener and sprayed the air near the entryway. My stomach lurched. Perfume. Not on him. In the house. He sprayed it like he was trying to cover something. Like he was trying to make the room smell safe before I came back. Then he sat down on the couch and started crying again. But this time, he whispered something. The camera didn't pick up every word, but I caught pieces. I'm trying so hard. Please. I pressed my hand to my mouth. My first instinct was still selfish. Please what? Please forgive me. Please don't leave. Then he said the part that made my blood run cold. Please don't get mad. I sat in my car, staring at my phone, and suddenly I couldn't remember the last time I'd been truly gentle. I remembered all the little things I did that I called communication. Checking in, asking questions, wanting transparency, and a new memory surfaced, sharp as glass. Last month, he was 20 minutes late, and I'd said, smiling, "So should I assume you're dead or cheating?" He laughed, but it was forced. I thought I was being funny. Now, watching him cry into his hands like a man praying to disappear, I wondered if he'd taken every one of my jokes like a threat. I drove home shaking. When I walked in, he was in the kitchen rinsing a cup. Calm. Normal. He looked up. "How was coffee?" "Fine," I said, my voice thin. He nodded like he'd passed a test. And I realized something awful. I wasn't catching him cheating. I was catching him surviving me. The next day, I did something worse than installing the camera. I went for his phone again. Not because I thought he was cheating now. No, that lie had died. I wanted to find out what he was hiding from me. Which is its own kind of betrayal, isn't it? His phone was on the counter while he showered. Password. I stared at it, furious at a 4-digit wall. Then I remembered something that made my stomach twist. His birthday. I'd chosen the passcode on his old phone years ago because he wasn't good at remembering things. I tried it. It worked. My hands went cold instantly. He hadn't changed it to keep people out. He'd changed it, and then changed it back. Like he wanted to believe I wouldn't try. Like he was still hoping I'd respect the boundary. I opened his photos. I expected screenshots. Maybe texts. Maybe something dark. Instead, I found a folder labeled "For Me." My throat tightened. It had videos. Dozens. Some were only 30 seconds long. Some were 5 minutes. The thumbnails were all him. Sitting in the living room. Looking into the camera like he was talking to someone invisible. My heart hammered so hard it hurt. Because now I had 2 cameras. Mine hidden. And his deliberate. I clicked the most recent. It loaded. There he was, sitting on the couch. The same couch I'd watched him cry on. Only this time he was looking straight into his phone camera. He swallowed hard. His eyes were red. Like he'd already been crying. "Okay," he said, voice shaky. "Okay. This is for you. Not you. Me." He laughed once, bitterly. "For me." Then he wiped his face and said, "I need to remember what this feels like. Because tomorrow I'm going to wake up and I'm going to tell myself I'm exaggerating again." My skin prickled. He continued, staring into the lens like it was a lifeline. "I'm scared of her," he whispered. My chest went hollow. I keep telling myself she's just anxious. She's just trying to feel safe. And if I'm patient enough, if I'm consistent enough, she'll calm down. He took a shaky breath. But I feel like I'm on trial every day. Like I have to prove I'm not guilty of something I didn't do. My stomach churned so hard I thought I might throw up. He rubbed his hands together, a nervous habit I'd seen 1,000 times and never noticed. She checks the time. She checks my tone. She checks my face. If I look tired, it's suspicious. If I look happy, it's suspicious. If I don't answer fast enough, it's suspicious. He blinked rapidly, fighting tears. And the worst part is, I don't even know what the rules are anymore. He leaned closer, voice cracking. Today she asked me if I was unhappy, and I wanted to say yes. But I knew how that would go. It would become evidence. It would become a case file. He swallowed. So I said I was tired. Because tired is allowed. I sat there frozen, phone in my hand, feeling like I'd just stepped outside my body. Then he said the line that made my blood turn to ice. I feel constantly controlled. And in the background of the video, I could see the plant. The one hiding my camera. I watched another video. And another. It was like peeling off layers of my own delusion. In one, he whispered, "Don't cry too loud." In another, he said, "If she hears me, she'll think it's about someone else." In another, he practiced sentences like a man rehearsing how not to set off a bomb. Say it calmly. Don't sound defensive. Don't sigh. Don't roll your eyes. Don't laugh. He was training. Not for work. For me. And then I found the one that looked different. Longer. He was sitting straighter, like he'd made a decision. He pressed record and stared at himself for a long time, jaw clenched. "Okay," he said. "I'm doing this because I keep forgetting. I keep minimizing it. I keep thinking maybe I'm just too sensitive." He laughed once, sharp, humorless. "I'm not." His eyes filled. "I love her," he said, voice breaking. "I love her so much it's embarrassing. I built my whole life around her. I wanted to be the kind of husband who makes his wife feel safe." He wiped his cheeks fast, like he was ashamed of tears. "But I don't feel safe." My throat closed. He leaned forward, talking to himself like he was begging. "Listen to me. You are not crazy. You are not weak for feeling this way." He shook his head. "She doesn't hit me. She doesn't scream. That's the problem. It's all quiet." He looked down, searching for words. It's questions that aren't questions. It's jokes that aren't jokes. It's silence that punishes. My hand started shaking so badly, I almost dropped the phone. He took a long breath. And I'm starting to be afraid of going home." He looked directly into the camera. "Not because of another person. Not because I'm doing anything wrong." He swallowed. "Because I feel like I'm constantly being watched." My vision blurred. I watched him pause like he was fighting with himself. Then he whispered, almost like a confession, "I think she hates not knowing things. And I think she'd rather hurt me than feel uncertain." I pressed my fist to my mouth to stop a sound from escaping. Because it was true. Then he took another breath, steadier now. "And if you're watching this later, if you're tempted to forget again, remember this." He pointed at the camera, at himself, at the future version of him. "You're not imagining it. You're shrinking. You're disappearing. You're apologizing for existing." He stared, tears spilling. "And you can't live like this." I sat there in the kitchen, hearing the shower run in the other room, feeling like the world was splitting open. I had wanted proof of cheating. Instead, I found proof of fear. Proof that my husband, my best friend, my person, was recording videos to convince himself he wasn't insane for feeling trapped. And the moral gray part? I still didn't feel like a villain. I felt like a woman who'd been terrified for so long she forgot the difference between love and surveillance. But fear doesn't excuse what it destroys. When he came out of the shower, he looked lighter. Like warm water had washed off the day. He saw me at the table, phone face down, and hesitated. "You okay?" he asked carefully. Carefully. Like he was approaching a wild animal. I wanted to scream. I wanted to confess. I wanted to throw the hidden camera into the sink like it was poisonous. Instead, I did the thing I always do when I'm ashamed. I smiled. "Yeah, just tired." He nodded with immediate relief. Like tired was allowed. Then he opened the fridge and started making dinner, quietly, efficiently, like a man trying to stay useful. I stared at his back and remembered so many moments I called normal. The time I accidentally checked his location and then asked, "Why were you over there?" The time I read his face for micro-expressions like I was studying him. The time I said, "If you have nothing to hide, you won't mind me asking." God, that sentence is a weapon when it comes from someone you love. And the repetition hit me again, like a pattern I couldn't unsee. Late returns. Perfume. Password. My questions. Late returns. Perfume. Password. My questions. Late returns. Perfume. Password. My questions. In my head, the pattern had always ended with his betrayal. But in reality, it ended with mine. Because I had turned our home into an interrogation room. and he had turned himself into someone who didn't make noise. I stood up, walked to the living room, and stared at the plant. My camera sat there like a silent witness. I imagined him coming home, looking at that plant, feeling watched even if he didn't know why. I imagined the weight of it. Then I imagined him deciding to record himself, because at least the phone camera was honest. At least it wasn't hidden. I unplugged my camera with shaking hands. I held it in my palm like it could burn me. He called from the kitchen. "What are you doing?" My throat closed. I wanted to lie. The lie was right there, ready. "Oh, nothing. Just moving stuff." But the videos echoed in my head. Don't lie. Don't minimize. Don't twist reality. So I did something I didn't know if I could do. I told the truth. "I put up a camera," I said. Silence. The kind of silence that changes the air in a room. He walked into the doorway slowly, like he didn't trust what he'd heard. "You what?" My hands trembled. "I thought you were cheating." His face went blank. Not anger. Not shock. Just collapse. Like a man whose last thread finally snapped. He looked at the camera in my hand, then at me. And I watched the moment he realized our marriage wasn't crumbling because he'd betrayed me. It was crumbling because I decided fear was more important than trust. He didn't yell. He just whispered, "How long?" And I didn't have an answer that wasn't horrifying. "I'm sorry," I said immediately, because I didn't know what else to say. He nodded slowly, like he'd heard those words 1,000 times in his head and never believed they'd matter. "You thought I was cheating," he repeated. His voice wasn't even accusing. It was stunned. "I saw perfume," I said, desperate. "And the password, and..." He raised his hand, not aggressively, just to stop me. "The perfume," he said quietly, "is the air freshener." My stomach dropped. "The one I spray," he continued, eyes glassy, "because you said you hated when the house smelled stale." I opened my mouth, but no sound came out. "And the password," he said, voice cracking, "is because you kept going through my phone." I flinched. He laughed once, bitter. "I didn't even do it to hide anything. I did it because I needed one thing that was mine." He swallowed hard. "And then you asked about it like I was guilty." My face burned. He leaned against the wall like his legs weren't working. "You know what's funny?" he whispered. "I started coming home late because I was sitting in my car in the parking lot, trying to calm down before I walked into the house." My heart actually twisted. "I'd sit there," he continued, tears slipping out now, "and I'd rehearse how to act normal. How to not trigger you. How to not start another thing." He wiped his face, but the tears kept coming. "And then you'd smell the air freshener on me," he said softly, "because I sprayed it in the hallway before I came in." I felt nauseous. I had built a cheating narrative out of his survival tactics. And the worst part? It made perfect sense. He looked at me then, really looked at me, and his voice broke. "I cried when you were gone because I didn't know how to cry when you were here." I covered my mouth. "I didn't want you to think it was about you," he said, shaking his head. "But it is about you. And that makes me feel cruel." He took a shaky breath. "I didn't know how to tell you I felt controlled," he whispered, "because I knew you'd hear it as an accusation instead of a plea." I started sobbing. Ugly, humiliating sobbing. And he didn't come comfort me. That hurt more than yelling would have. He just stood there, tears on his cheeks, looking like a man who'd been trying to keep both of us afloat and finally realized he couldn't. Then he said something that cracked me open. "I recorded videos because I kept doubting myself." My body went cold. "You did that thing where you make me feel like I'm wrong for feeling something," he whispered. "Like I'm too sensitive. Like I'm misunderstanding." I stumbled backward like the words had physical force. "I'm not saying you're evil," he said, voice shaking. "I'm saying, I don't know how to be a person in this house." I wanted to argue, to defend myself, to explain my fear. But the moral gray truth stood between us like a wall. I hadn't meant to hurt him, but I had. And intention doesn't erase impact. That night, he slept on the couch. Not in a dramatic, punishing way. In a quiet, defeated way. I lay in our bed staring at the ceiling, thinking about how I'd spent weeks hunting for evidence of betrayal, while becoming the betrayal. At 3:12 a.m., I got up and walked into the living room. He was awake, staring at the dark TV screen like it had answers. I stood there in the doorway, and the words that came out of me were small. "I didn't want to be like this." He didn't look at me right away. "I know," he said quietly. "That's what makes it so confusing." I sat on the edge of the armchair, keeping distance like I finally understood space was a right, not a reward. "I got scared," I whispered. And then I kept getting scared. And I thought if I knew everything, I'd feel safe. He exhaled, slow and shaky. "And did you?" he asked. "No." I shook my head hard, tears spilling again. I felt worse, I admitted. I felt addicted to checking. Like if I stopped, something bad would happen. He nodded like he understood too well. I swallowed. "I watched you cry." His eyes flicked to me. Pain flashed across his face. "Yeah," he said. I figured. My whole body tensed. "How?" He stared at the plant. Now just a plant, because my camera was gone. I didn't know about the camera, he said slowly. But I could feel it. The way you'd ask things. The way you'd already decided the answer before I spoke. He rubbed his hands together. I felt watched even when you weren't watching, he said. That sentence will haunt me forever. Because it meant my suspicion had turned into something bigger than a bad week. It had become the atmosphere. The next morning, we didn't fix it. There wasn't a magical apology that glued trust back together. Trust isn't a vase you can superglue. It's a living thing. And I had starved it while calling it love. He told me he needed space. Real space. Not, I'm mad for a day space. He said he wanted therapy. For both of us. Not as a punishment. As a boundary. I agreed immediately, because for the first time, I wasn't trying to win a case. I was trying to stop doing harm. In the weeks that followed, I learned the hardest lesson of my life. You can destroy someone without raising your voice. You can control someone with concern. You can imprison someone with questions. You can turn love into surveillance and still tell yourself you're being loyal. And the moral gray part, the part that makes me sick to admit, is that I truly believed I was protecting my marriage. But what I actually did was prove I didn't trust the person I married. I didn't catch a cheater. I caught a man who was afraid of his own home. And when I finally stopped looking for evidence of his betrayal, I found evidence of mine. The camera is gone. The password stayed. And now, when he comes home, even on time, I don't ask a dozen questions. I ask one. Do you feel safe with me today? Sometimes he says yes. Sometimes he hesitates. And that hesitation is the price of what I did. Because the ending isn't revenge. It's accountability. It's realizing that I didn't lose trust because he cheated. I lost trust because I slowly, quietly, lovingly destroyed it myself.